And welcome back, everyone. We're live. I'm sitting down today in Granby, beautiful view on the lake, with Mandi. How's it going, Mandi?
I'm sitting here with my thick jacket and two pullovers and my heater.
Nice, nice, nice. So it's been a long time we didn't do any live or video before, so it's kind of good to connect back and share some value. I know you want to talk about something pretty cool today. 5 successful trading mindset challenges to be able to scale it to 10K per month trading and profit. That's going to be awesome. If you guys are joining us live, come below in the chat. We want to make sure we hear from you. And if you have any question, we'll make sure to answer your question during the event. There's a chat that I'll send the link to Mandi soon. But Mandi, take a moment to introduce yourself, tell people like what you do, who you are, and why you're here.
You say I should introduce myself for our guys.
Yeah, just introduce yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, people,
okay, good. Because it just cut out. So why am I here? Because you said we haven't spoken to our guys for a long time, and let's do YouTube live. So that's why I'm here, and so I'm a trader trading the DEX, a little bit of Forex, not too much. I dare to go long gold. Most probably I jinx it again. I can't trade gold for my life, but let's see. And so I'm mostly a short-term trader, a scalper, not so much long-term. And I also am a trading coach. So in a nutshell, I help traders do what they know they should do, and also have the confidence actually to do what they need to do. Most traders, or almost every trader, knows what to do, but they lack the confidence to do what they know. And so this is most of my work that I'm doing. I'm running online trainings, running group mentoring sessions, running one-on-one sessions. So pretty much the whole spectrum, from the beginner trader to institutional traders, hedge fund traders. That's whom I work with, because to me it doesn't matter, Etienne, what level the trader is, because the challenge that a trader has, that is usually part of certain patterns that human beings have as a behavioral pattern. So that's why for me it doesn't matter what kind of level trader I work with. I always apply the framework and the methodology of how is the trader, so let's say the other way around. Every trader that I work with has on some level the same challenge. They know what to do, but they don't do what they know. And if that is the beginner trader or the hedge fund trader, institutional trader, it doesn't matter. The challenge is the same. It's just a different context on a different level. And so that's why applying frameworks, methodologies, it's always the same. And that's the exciting bit, that's really good news, because that means there is usually an answer for it. But Etienne, I was working with a trader yesterday in my Fierce 10 group. So Fierce 10 is the online training that I'm running at the moment and part of the group mentoring. And the trader emailed me during the week. He said I had a really bad week, and I could have made a $10,000 profit, and I ended up a few $1,000s down. He was like really, really frustrated. And I found it here, and there's like 3 types of traders in this world. And I'm sure you have the same experience. Tell me, as soon as I tell you what it is, tell me what you think.
Yes, about that.
Here's number 1 trader. Trader starts out, goes to every seminar, nowadays webinars. Now when I started, it was seminars. Every webinar, reads all the books, all the blogs, active on Twitter, reads everything, knows everything, and does not apply. Then there's the other trader who maybe goes to 1 or 2 training events and then thinks they know it all, and they're too cool for school, and they look down at people who go to seminars, or who keep continuously learning, the guys who are the lifelong learners. They just look down on them. It's like, what's wrong with you people? It's all so self-evident. You can do it your own. So they're the ones who are pretty much stuck up on themselves. And then there's the third trader, who goes to an event, so a webinar, seminar, or listens to one of my trainings or one of your trainings. They take this piece of information and then they apply. And then they come back with questions. They say, I applied it in this context, applied it in this way, it worked or it didn't work. Yeah. If it didn't work, how can we make it work? What is different? What's the context? And if it did work, thank you very much, you know, love your work. So do you have the same experience with the 3 types of traders?
Yeah, I totally see that a lot. Although I'll say most people start with the first 2 and they go to the third one later on. It's not like from the start they learn, they practice, and they go back. No, it's usually they start really confident or really as learners, really not confident, and then they try to learn, and they learn the wrong way a little bit, and then they don't apply. So yeah, I've seen this a lot. And if you guys relate to this, comment below also in the chat. We want to make sure that we like maybe you've seen something different, maybe you've seen the same, probably the same, but comment below and let us know for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, and so that's why when we talk about the 5 mindset changes that every trader has to apply, you know, that's kind of looking at most conversations that I have with my traders and also that you have with your traders, Etienne. So our work is so complementary because you mostly teach the trading methodology and I mostly trade the trading mindset. So I always say trading mindset and trading methodology are like your arms and your legs. You function best if you have both, right? So if you work out in the gym, you just work out on your legs and you have weak arms, well, you know, it's only half the fun. But if you work on both, then you're completely functioning. And then of course, you know, we can talk about the torso and the mind as well, but let's just keep it simple for today. And so I'm just looking at our chat.
Yeah, I think guys, you have a really good question in the chat so far. We'll maybe answer them a little bit later. I want to go through the 5 trading mindset challenges, and then we'll get to your questions that are really good so far. So keep them up for sure.
Okay, great. So just look at this one. So the mindset challenge number 1 is, and it sounds so simple, right? It is really coming back down to basics. Take your own responsibility and stop projecting the responsibility of your trading business onto everyone and everything around you. Now, often we think we do take responsibility, but it's not evident that we actually don't take responsibility. What do I mean with that? Many traders who are having kids, they complain that the kids distract them. So, you know, especially when it's little kids, they're noisy, or they walk into the trading room every 5 minutes and want something, and then the trader gets impatient. Or, you know, they complain that the spouse is not supportive or that the parents are not supportive. And you know what, I was the same. So, you know, I'm not any better than that, but I worked my way through it. Or, you know, I worked with a trader last week and he wanted me to give him guarantees that he can make it if he works with me. And I said to him, you know what I guarantee? I guarantee that you will fail. Because with that mindset, if you need to project your responsibility onto someone else, you will fail because you won't do what it takes. You won't have the grit and resilience to get through what needs to be done. So the responsibility part is often that traders say, I did not perform in my trading because the kids were noisy, because my spouse doesn't support me, because work was stressful. And then they complain about not having performed or not having made money.
Yeah,
You know what?
this might be right though. The fact that kids can distract you, but I think, and that's what you're gonna talk about. It's like the reaction to this, what you do after, that changes everything.
Here's the thing, Etienne. Every single trader has those challenges in some way, shape, or form. I don't have kids, so I have other distractions. You know, traders calling me in tears. You know, there's always some sort of distraction.
Yeah.
And then it's about us to manage ourselves around those distractions. And what I found is that really successful traders, they still have the same distraction. So one guy who's an amazing trader, he has kids as well. How is it that he can consistently make, and when I talk consistently, I talk about, you know, over a longer time frame, make $10,000 a month on average profits, and others can't. He has the same challenges with his kids. And, you know, when the kids have the flu and they're sick, still the same challenge, and yet he manages to perform because he doesn't use it as an excuse to himself why he didn't perform. And this is what we do, you know, when we project responsibility onto someone else or something else, it's not because we don't want to take responsibility, Etienne. It is usually because we want to make ourselves feel better. We want to placate that pain of not having done what needs to be done. So going back to that trader that I started the conversation with, with who said he had, you know, he could have made $10,000 and then ended up not doing that much. I asked him, you know, one of the homework that he had was to use this, you know, demon finder from Tom Dante and write down the 10 main mistakes that he makes and then tick off what the main mistakes are. And so I wanted him to give it a name. I asked him, so when you weren't performing well the last few days, what was the main mistake? And he said, I don't know, you know, I was just constantly chasing. I said, what do you mean you don't know? Did you fill in your spreadsheet? And he's like, no, I didn't. So he knows what to do and he didn't do what needs to be done. And he was blaming his work because there was so much stress at work that he didn't perform. No, that wasn't the reason. The reason was that he didn't know himself well enough. And so again, it's not that we do that intentionally. We have grown up with doing this kind of behavior. And I remember when I went to school and I was always running late for school, and you know the reasons by now. I had the director of the school, the principal, he was standing in front of the entrance and stopped me and said, why are you running late? And I gave him all kinds of excuses, just not the truth, that I was horsing around and I really couldn't be stuffed to go to school. And then, you know, the next day again, why are you late? And then had another reason. So we are actually brought up to lie and to lie to ourselves because the reality is too harsh to deal with. So remember that when you have a challenge in terms of something distracts you, your responsibility is managing it. So if your kids are sick and you know you don't perform and they're sick, don't trade. As simple as that. Or trade really small and learn to manage yourself around that situation. If you had a bad day at work, before you go to the trading desk, make sure that you get yourself into a neutral base, you know, where you don't feel all depleted and stressed from work and then you go to the markets because it feels so good to place a trade. And then rather than using trading to make yourself feel better, you focus again on trading being your business. Yeah. So by expecting that your trading will change if your environment will change, you're destined to fail. What you need to do is you need to find a way to manage yourself, even in the face of all the challenges that life brings. And you know, I look at successful traders, you know, someone like Linda Rashke, who had, you know, injuries and challenges in life as well, and yet she consistently performed in her job. So if she can do it, we need to find out how did she do it, and then we can actually model that, because in a nutshell, she took responsibility. She found a way to deal with it.
Yeah.
So
that is a really powerful point. I love that. That's really, really awesome. And we have Colin in the chat also agreeing with you, saying, yeah, accept responsibility is really powerful. That's really cool. Awesome. I'm kind of curious, do you want to go to the second challenge right now, or is there anything to touch on for this one?
Let me see. Maybe we answer the question or in the end. It's easier for me.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
So the second mindset challenge is worry absolutely will destroy your trading business. And if it doesn't destroy your business, it will destroy you. And I know it's easy to say because I'm such a worry head myself. But I learned to manage my worries. I learned to manage my fears. I learned to manage myself in the face of challenging times. And, you know, when I see someone in a high state of worry, I can almost guarantee that they're too attached to the trading. And that goes back to beliefs, you know, Etienne. So there's 5 different types of beliefs. And one of one type of belief is what we call the identity belief. And what I can see is that many traders, because they hate their work so much, they don't want to identify with their work, and then they find trading, and trading seems to be like, you know, the godsend unicorn that they love so much. And then they become highly attached to trading because they collapse who they are with what they do. And any degree of attachment will almost guarantee that you won't get the results that you want. It's you know, you see it in relationships when you see people are being too needy. I hate this word needy, but you know, when they have this feeling like, I can't live without this person, and that this is high degree of attachment that will guarantee that the relationship is doomed to fail. And why is that so? Because all the focus is on this one person. This is too much responsibility for another person. And also, if someone's identity is tied up in an external factor, they're always dependent on externals in order to feel good, in order to feel happy. We need to learn to generate happiness and you know, confidence, and you know, all those above the line feelings. We need to learn to create them within ourselves, no matter what the circumstances are. I was working with a trader, and he said, you know, I was feeling really professional today. And I said, wow, great. What changed? And he said, well, I was trading from an office. And then I said, great. So that means that if you're not working from your office, if you're working from home, then you won't feel professional. And he said, yeah, pretty much so. And I said, well, me working from home, do you see me as a professional or not? Because here's the thing for me, and you know, I've heard it so many times, Etienne, I'm sure you have heard that as well, whereas when they say, dress in your suit, and you know, because you're trading against people in suits, it's like, to be honest, I'm here in my tracksuit pants, and I trade in my lucky tracksuit pants though. And I don't need an external environment to make me feel professional, because my feeling of professionalism comes from within me. That's who I choose to be, and my standards in my life and my behaviors in my life, they determine if I'm professional, not if I'm sitting in an office or don't. And I also went down this path where I thought I need to be in a professional environment in order to perform better. And yes, it made me feel better being around other traders, but you know, it was a very expensive environment. I paid, I think, $600 a month for a trading desk just to be around other traders, and it wasn't worth it. You know, it just added to my stress. So when you're in a high state of worry, learn to face your worries and learn to deal with them. And if you have worries about finances, take it serious. That tells you that you need to maybe get a job and get more income until your trading pays for the bills naturally and easily. If you have worries about anything in your life, that tells me that your life is out of balance. Maybe out of balance in your health, maybe out of balance with your family, maybe out of balance with your social life. Because if your life is well-rounded and healthy, you guarantee you have not as many worries. And I see that again, I see that so much in traders who are performing really well. They on some level have a really good team around them, and they have a healthy relationship with themselves. They take care of their health. And I'm not talking about crazy stuff like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and meditating. Like, that's another extreme, which I love, right? Like, if you do that, rock on, but it's not necessary to perform. Yeah. So if you are worried, then that tells me your life is out of balance, and bring your life back into balance.
Yeah. I'm curious with that. What do you see as the main worries in traders? Is it about family more, about health, or about kind of the profit, the financial, or is it kind of spread out across the board, different for different people?
Yeah, you know, it's a difficult one to answer, because what kind of people would I attract in, you know, naturally? So everyone that I start working with, they have to fill in a questionnaire so that I get an idea what's going on. And most have financial problems, financial challenges, and fears around money, because they are capped by their work, right? And then they have kids to take care of, and you know, they have gotten to a certain age. And I know for me it was the same thing when I was growing up. I had this romantic idea of what my life is going to be like, and it's nothing like it, you know. And you get to a certain age and you're like, what happened? I don't want to settle for that. I want to have a better life. I want to have the freedom to spend time with my family whenever I want to, and travel the world and buy a house for my mom. And this is usually not available for most people. Yeah, that's the reality. So yes, the majority of people have financial challenges, and with that comes fear of losing their family if they don't perform. Yeah, so I find it really interesting because traders who already know how to make money, they have usually a very healthy relationship with themselves, meaning they have a lot of self-trust. And so it is a little bit easier for them to perform in trading because it all comes down to a lack of self-trust. And if you have a lack of self-trust, then your finances usually don't work out well, and your relationships are again dependent on other people. Because when we have a lack of self-trust, we have this mindset of I'm afraid this person's going to leave me, and you know, I don't want that to happen. What if I'm all alone? Will I ever find someone again? Whereas a person with a high level of self-trust says, life is amazing with you. I love having you in my life. If you're not in my life, then my life might not be as good as it is right now. But you know what? I'll be okay. And I used to be one of those codependent people. I still am, most probably, but I manage myself now. And I used to have those fears, Etienne, where I was like, oh my God, if this person's going to leave me, what then? Reckon what happened? They would leave me, you know? So what I then learned to say is, I've lived how many years without this person? If this person would leave me, if he would leave me, then I'm able to live my life without this person again. So this is how I, number one, reframed me and changed my self-talk. But I also dealt with my fears around abandonment because that came from my childhood. And I had to heal that. I had to, you know, heal the shame and the guilt that, you know, whatever happened in my childhood with parents separating, we little kids take that on. Yeah. So that is the next piece, you know. Drop your worries in terms of deal with your fears.
Cool. Sharon says in the chat, I've made big changes to my life since talking to you, Mandi. I'm really grateful for your input. That's awesome.
Oh, thank
you, Sharon.
you.
And Mandi does a really good job. So that's awesome. And I
Thank
kind of
you.
want to answer a question in the chat right now. Someone was asking about fundamental analysis, or how to, what can I fully understand fundamental analysis for free? Now, here's the thing. I want to share a link in the chat, but keep in mind that, and we'll talk about it for free later. I'm sure Mandi has something to comment on that. If you don't learn stuff for free, it's good, but we'll talk about that later. So, Mandi, I'll let you go with the third aspect, unless you want to talk about this now.
Well, I'd like to pick up the free thing because, again, it's a worry, isn't it? So if I don't have an abundance mindset and know that money will come in, then I don't really want to freely pay, right? Because I'm worried about money going out, not coming in. So if someone asks for free things, that shows me that they have stuff around money, and that will most probably impact their trading. Hopefully not too bad because they know how to manage themselves, but most of the time it is a negative impact, because then if they have scarcity mindset, they don't want to take their losses because they don't want to lose the money. And also they're afraid of letting their profits run because, you know, who knows if there's another profit around the corner. Whereas traders who have an abundance mindset, they maybe don't like losing. Of course, they don't like losing. No one likes losing, but they just do what needs to be done to take care of business. It's just taking care of business, nothing else. And they know that more money will come in. And again, you know, I used to have a lot of fear around losing money in terms of, let's say I had $100 in my wallet. I would clutch to my wallet because I was worried that I'm going to lose it. I never lost a wallet in my life, and I was worried to lose that wallet with $100 in it. So that was a reflection of lack of self-trust. And the lack of self-trust was then, what if I lose that money? And then we have this thinking, there is never ever more money coming in, like with losing trades, right? Oh my God, if I take this loss, I will never ever have a profitable trade again. Whereas, if I lose money, it's okay. Let's say I have $100 in my pocket, and I'm not talking about being careless around money. That's another extreme. That's not taking responsibility as well. But let's say I take care of my money, take care of my wallet and everything, and I still lose it because you know what, shit happens, right? So then I'm maybe annoyed, but I'm not afraid, I'm not worried, because I know there's money coming in around the corner, because I have the skill, I have the mindset to make it again. And that's where there's no worry. So if someone wants to have something for free, here's that feedback for you. Look at your money mindset. Look where else in your life you're worried about money. So mindset number 3 then.
Yeah, that is really deep. I really love that part for sure. And it's not to say that like free stuff isn't good. Sometimes it's like really good, but you need to learn to do whatever it takes to reach your goals, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't know why it is, but we get free stuff. We save it on our computer and we think, yay, I got this awesome free stuff. And then we never look at it. And then we want the next free stuff and the next free stuff that we never look at. And, I can see that as well with all the, the Pirate Bay downloads and so on. And it's also disrespectful. Like, I always think, if you guys knew how long it take me to make one video of my online training, it takes me hours, if not even a day. When I write my article for Your Trading Edge, it takes me about a week. The research, thinking about what topic, and then I know that people who want to get free stuff, they don't respect other people. And if they don't know how, not because they're bad people, they just don't know how to. And if they don't know how to respect other people, I question, do they know how to respect themselves? Yeah, and then it goes back to the money thing. So a lot of traders have a fear of commitment as well. And I see that all the time. Do you have a strategy that is written down? No. Like most traders say no. Why? And then, they have this feeling that having a strategy, having a routine, having a structure impinges on their freedom. Now, freedom is most probably the one thing that attracted them to trading. They want to have the financial freedom so that they get the time freedom to do what they want to do with the people that they want to spend time with, and to choose whatever they want to choose in life, right? So if they want to have $1,000 dinner, that they can just do that if they want to, because they know they can put on another trade tomorrow and they will make the $1,000 back. Now, that doesn't really work well with if you don't have a love for structure and a love for commitment. So find the freedom in your commitment. Have a structure, have a strategy, and within that strategy, you are free. So let me give you an example. My favorite example is, I used to have this thing about freedom, and I was a rebel, and I would not have a well-organized cupboard. And that would result in me missing my tram or my train several times, getting late to work or to my meetings because I couldn't find a matching pair of socks when I was wearing socks. And, it would often be like by 1 minute. And then I realized how much, I started to take a stopwatch, how much time it took me to look for a matching pair of socks. It was about 5 minutes in the morning. And that was when I was still, at work and not trading in my tracksuit pants from home.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't matter, it's still a similar thing. So what I learned is to organize myself. And now I have, I wash only socks. There is a sock wash bag. Who would have known? I hang them up in pairs and I put them ready in pairs into my drawer, all well all sorted for my sports socks, my work socks, or like, everything is organized. Not because I love being organized, but because it saves me time. When I save 10 minutes in the morning on stupid stuff, I can spend that 10 minutes in the morning on something that I love. Now my freedom is within choosing which pair of socks I'm going to wear. If I pink, blue, dots, stripes, that's where my freedom lies. My freedom comes within the structure. Yeah, so commit. The more you commit, the more structure you are allowing into your life, the faster you will become successful in your trading, and the faster you will have the freedom that you seek. And Etienne, we had the conversation so often that you are extremely organized, and I learned from you how to be organized, because it doesn't come easy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would an example look like in terms of trading? Would that mean you have a strategy and then you allow yourself to go with the rule that you like, or how that looks like?
Yeah, so I have a strategy. Within that strategy, I'm very nimble, because guess what? Markets change, don't they? So when we have a market like we have at the moment, where it's like extremely volatile, I can't use that strategy that I use for an impulsive move. When the market is impulsive, I can't use the strategy that I use for sideways markets. The artistry comes in with which time frame I choose to trade. Sometimes I trade the 1 minute because it gives me massive opportunities. Sometimes I trade the daily, or the weekly even, because the opportunities are there. So my structure, the way I look at the market, is always the same. The time frame, the instrument. So as I said, I just put on a sneaky gold trade. I put on an Aussie dollar trade. I don't usually trade them, but there were the opportunities that seemed to be fitting my system really, really well. So my system, my structure is the same. The instrument, the time frame, I changed it according to what the market gives me.
Cool. Is that based on your personality, or because, or like everyone should do that? Because I see some people that would only want to place trades when they know they back this on this pair and stuff, and they have the rules and they have the real structure. So I'm kind of curious if that's only for you or for most people.
Oh, I think it's how I created my life.
Mm-hmm.
When you say that there's traders who only want to trade according to their strategy, I suspect that they have a high level of structure and they don't have the problem that I have. My
Yeah,
problem is
yeah,
impulsiveness. Yeah. So
yeah.
my problem is that I get very excited and I jump into the trade. So what I needed to do is I needed to find a way to restrict myself. And I do that with having I have like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moving averages, Bollinger Bands, and a stochastics on my chart. Not because I needed to read it, but that keeps me in check. It keeps my impulsiveness in check. And so that's why I think it might be really useful for me, because naturally it doesn't come easy for me. Someone who wants to only follow a strategy that is wants to take a trade that is according to a strategy, I don't think they have the problem with impulsiveness. So they don't need to do what I do in order to manage myself. Fantastic question, by the way. Thank you.
Very interesting. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. So you want to get to the mindset challenge number 3?
Oh, now we are number 5 already.
Oh yeah.
Let me just recap for you. So number 1 was the thing about responsibility. Was the thing about responsibility.
Yeah.
And instead of needing your world to change, so needing the kids to be quiet and you not being stuck in traffic and so on, find a way to deal with it, because the reality is that won't change. Yeah. Number 2 was worry. Worry destroys your business and destroys you. And deal with your worry. So deal with your fears, heal your fears, and reframe your self-talk. So change your self-talk, and you do that by confronting. If you have a fear, that shows me that you have a very high degree of attachment, And when you have a high degree of attachment, it shows you that your life is out of balance and you need to work on either your health or your family life, your social interactions. Something is there fundamentally out of balance that needs to be healed. Mindset challenge number 3 was your fear of commitment. Learn to commit. And so now we're at number 4.
Cool.
There you go.
So what's number 4?
Number 4 is my favorite. When traders talk to me about intuition, and the feeling of intuition is really dangerous because, as my mentor said 20 years ago or 15 years ago, is it intuition or is it intuition? And I can tell you most of my intuition at the beginning was intuition because I did not have enough experience, enough understanding of the markets to have intuition. And I didn't have enough runs on the board either, because my only intuition that I had was how to not perform in trading. I heard this really funny term, Etienne. It's an advertisement on TV. The guy is what's it called? He is suffering from FOMO. FOMO is, so FOMU, the fear of mucking up. And if you look at trading, right, most traders, they have this FOMO. So FOMO, so the fear of missing out, impulsive behavior, lack of discipline, lack of patience, I think is driven by FOMO, the fear of mucking things up. And so when traders talk about intuition, my question is, where is your intuition driven from? Is it driven from fear? Is it driven from greed? Or is it driven from possibility? And, for many years, I was like, what is the difference between intuition or intuition? And then I got it one day. I realized, and I got it just by writing down my journal, how I feel, how I think. And I saw a pattern emerging that when I have intuition, there's all the self-talk. Oh my God, this is a really great setup. If it goes from here to here, I should put in a big position because then I can make this amount of money. And then I get my account up to this amount, or I can buy this thing that I always wanted to buy. Want to buy this pair of shoes or whatever it is. And intuition is when there is peace. There's no self-talk. There's quiet. And you're in the zone. That is intuition. And understanding what the difference is, Etienne, that made such a big difference to me, because I now know when I'm into wishing, because I have I have a feeling, and then my mind rationalizes my feeling. And my feeling is, I want to get onto this trade because I want to make money, I want to feel good, I want to be free. And so my mind rationalizes why I should do what I want to do. Whereas when I have intuition, my mind doesn't need to rationalize because it just knows.
So is intuition the same as kind of hoping for the best scenario, or is it two different things?
Intuition. No, I think hoping, again, I think it's really, really depending on the trader. Hoping, I think, is more when we are in a precarious position, like we are in a massive drawdown, and we hope the trade is going to turn around. Whereas intuition is that we see a great setup and we think it's the setup of the century, and then we get whipsawed out. What do you reckon? Well, how do you see that?
Yeah, for me, I would see it more as like hoping for the best. Like you just put in a trade, and then you think your intuition is telling you something, but it's something that you just wish would happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I see it, but it might be different for
Yeah.
you. You guys come into the chat if you have a different definition than what we talk about, and we can discuss on that after.
The thing is, so when someone says they trade based on intuition, even intuition has a strategy. And then I say, tell me your strategy on how you trade with intuition. And they're confused, right? And what do I mean with that? When you trade on intuition, you usually start with a feeling. A feeling is creeping up. And then define that feeling for me. Where is that feeling? Is it in my gut? 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 Is it in my located in your body? Is it in your solar plexus, in your chest, in your arms, in your head? What is the self-talk that comes with that intuition? And when you start keeping track of the feelings in the self-talk, you will realize that different strategies of intuition lead to different results. And then you can also realize what the difference is between hoping and intuition, or intuition and intuition. That's another strategy. So I find that traders who talk to me about intuition, they say that because they want to avoid being structured and organized, because they're in trading for the freedom. But freedom cannot be a lifestyle. Freedom has to be a goal. Yeah, so it's not everything that every successful person on this earth has to sacrifice their freedom in order to achieve freedom. So if you want to become an athlete and be world status performer, you need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or you need to train hard. You need to not eat for not eat pizza for the time of you're an athlete. You can eat pizza afterwards, and that's why so many athletes gain so much weight, because they then start making up for everything that they missed out on in the early years. But that is sacrificing some sort of freedom, isn't it? And then they find this feeling of freedom when they're on the podium. So you could argue with that as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So I think was it Colin had a great definition for intuition. He says intuition usually comes from understanding when a situation and all factors on the sort of likely consequence are there, and that comes from previous experience, not from just like hoping or wishing something. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. How do we know, though, that our intuition is based on the situation, the factors? Because in that moment we believe that it is, right?
Yeah.
Until we realize it is not.
That's the tricky one, but I guess it's from experience, of course. Yeah.
For me, it's just a feeling. I know the difference in feeling. I think it's for everyone to find out as well.
Uh-huh.
And as I said, the main reason why I mention it is because many traders use intuition as an excuse not to sit down and take charge of their strategy, of their routine in life, and again put the responsibility on external factors.
Nice. So what's number 5?
Number 5 is prioritize your time, because you need to study and work on your trading genius as well. Yeah. So what I find with most successful traders, they are lifelong learning machines, and they never stop learning. So again, to quote Linda Rushke, what I found with her is that she always surrounded herself with amazing traders and learned from them. She was never too proud or too good not to learn from someone else, and always so inquisitive and asking questions. And I love that. I so love that, and I have that in my life as well, where I always want to learn from everyone. As I said, Etienne, you are half my age, and I learned so much from you. There is no pride, and there's sometimes this Etienne bastard, how can you be so organized, when I'm still struggling with it. But you can never be too proud if you want to succeed in trading. You always need to keep an open mind. And every day I schedule 1 hour of personal development and 1 hour of professional development. 1 hour where I listen to a webinar from a successful trader, or where I read books from successful traders, or I do some work on myself, working with my coach on my personality, improving on my personal development, and so on. There's always something to learn, no matter how old we get, because the challenges change as well. And that's why we consistently learn and grow, because the challenges that I had 20 years ago are not the same that I have today, right? So that's why, yeah.
Hmm.
Keep learning.
So I'm kind of curious, how do you draw the line between personal and professional development? Because as a trader, that can be kind of like the two can kind of interact pretty well.
Yeah, so pretty simple. Personal development is dealing with my fears, dealing with my habits, dealing with my standards, my goals, my expectations of myself. And professional development is learning all about trading strategies, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, different markets, options market, and then different instruments, the bond market, or the bond market, I should say. The, what else is new? Maybe commodities, right? And learning different markets. So it's all about the vehicle that we are performing in. That's the professional development for me. Then everything that's me, mastering myself, becoming a better person, learning different thinking strategies like behavioral finance, behavioral economics, that's personal development for me.
Very interesting. Love that. I think we're gonna get to some questions. I think there's a lot of them that's gonna be
Cool.
interesting to answer. Let's see.
So how about stallion trading?
Yeah. The first one, yeah. That
Stallion
was the first one,
trading.
right? Yeah, you want to read
Yeah.
it and make sure we have the same one.
I have a question. I have a trader with very high win ratio, but he put 100% capital in one trade every time, and he get burned in one trade, 100% loss.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what the question is.
But so let's talk about why that doesn't work. And I think it's pretty simple to explain. But
Would you like to explain that, Etienne?
well, it's for me it's too simple. So the problem with trading, and this is a problem, like people stand between two lines. On one side, people want to trade and make money, and they want to be able to make the most money possible. On the other side, people care about the risk. And usually one side is losing, the other side is profitable and professional. And if you put in all your capital per trade, you just cannot allow yourself ever to stand the test of time of trading the next day. And just that won't work long term because you're risking too much now for more gain as opposed to risking what you would need to risk for your future. That's kind of how I see it. Anything you need to add to that, or anything you feel that is lacking in
I
that answer?
I have no idea how that works. Putting 100% of your capital if you have high leverage.
Yeah.
Even with high leverage, you need to have money in the bank to deal with the drawdowns or I don't know. What can we learn from that? Let me think. What can we get out of this? Something that's useful.
So take example where you would risk, let's say, whatever, like 25% of your account per trade. Like you still cover the whole leverage and stuff, but you're still risking, in my opinion, too much.
Yeah. Because so you say we risk 25% loss. Oh, no, I know. So are we talking about putting 100% of your capital onto a trade? That's not possible mathematically.
Yeah, but
If you
let's say
trade
putting all you have
leverage.
available on trade. That would be the proper thing, proper
Mm.
answer.
And so if you put 25% of our capital onto a trade, that is still too much, you say. So we have, let's say, $10,000 account. We put $2,500 on the trade. So that depends on what we are trading. If I trade, let's say, the DAX, I might have more dollar
Oh,
profit or loss per point than if I trade the Aussie dollar.
okay. So the way I was seeing the question is, I was thinking more as like
Okay.
risking, let's say 25% of your capital on one trade. So you would risk of losing that per trade. In which
Okay,
is
so that
50% putting
you
capital
risk
per trade. Yeah.
that you lose it. Yeah. Um, I don't know, Australian trading. If you can, I love your name by the way because I love horses. But if you can maybe give us some insights into what you mean, that would be helpful. So I'm not quite clear about it. I'm sure there's more to it.
Exactly. There was a question I seen about, well, Question here from Gregory, I think. Do people give you a nasty look when you tell them you're in finance or that you trade? Do you see you as a gambler, or how do people react in general?
Sorry, where is that question?
That's just below the first link I sent.
Okay, cool.
So
Do
basically,
people
I can
give you
answer for
nothing?
that. When you tell people that you trade, this is kind of funny for sure. So some people, you tell them that you're a trader, they just say, "Oh, that's fine, you're a trader." Okay. Some people they say, "Oh wow, like you probably make a lot of money," and some people say, "Well, that's a really risky business, and I don't know how you do it." So it really depends on the people you talk to. Usually, there's some level of, I don't want to say respect, because like it, but there's a level of like you're different a little bit, and that might be good or not, for depending on the person you talk to. But yeah, that's what you see most of the time. And some people don't understand what you do at all.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? You usually get like several answers. Either, or do you trade Bitcoin? What do you
Yeah.
think of Bitcoin?
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
These days I get this all the time.
you
Yeah.
forgot this one. The gambling one. I usually don't say that I trade because it is so much out of people's realm of understanding of possibility, and they have watched movies or read something in the paper, and to be honest, it just can't be stuffed dealing with it.
Yeah.
So I usually pull the coaching card because I'm a coach, or I say I'm in the financial industry, and then they say, "Oh, you're working for a bank." I'm like, "Yep." you know, um, people think financial industry is bank.
Yeah.
So I choose very carefully, simply because it's a waste of my time. Now here's the thing, Etienne. Also, if someone criticizes our trading and we get triggered by it, that is usually feedback for us that we have doubts about ourselves. And I used to react quite aggressive, when someone would say that I'm a gambler, or now I say, yeah, you're right, I am gambling, because it is, right? We're dealing with uncertainty. But it was also a reflection of me doubting myself, and also the identity thing, right? Where I identified myself through my trading rather than being a person who is a trader. And that collapsing, that was really, really dangerous, because every loss that I took was then also a danger to my identity. Whereas if when you learn to and it goes back to relationships, right? So if you identify yourself through your partner and you think you can't live without this person, then whatever they do, you're immediately feeling threatened. And it's the same with trading. If you identify yourself through your trading, and then every loss is a threat to you of your being. Now, if you want to check, ask yourself, if you would not trade, who would you be? And if the answer is, I have no clue, then you need to do some work around that. I know that if I weren't a trader, I can't imagine a life without trading anymore. But I also know, if for whatever reason I could not trade, I would know I would find something else, because it's about me living my life to the fullest, no matter what the external circumstances are. And I choose trading. But if we don't know what happens, right? They can shut down our industry in no time. Like, look what they did in the UK with the changing the leverage
Hmm.
from 500 to 1 to 50 to 1. I'm pretty sure quite a few traders got taken out of the industry because they simply don't have enough money to trade on a 50 to 1 leverage. Yeah, if something would happen, whatever, um, yeah, then it'll be fine. What was
Yeah.
the question
And
again?
plus you keep yourself open to other opportunities that might happen. Like if you see yourself only as a trader, but then you want to start a business, you cannot, because you're only a trader, and which is like really limiting.
Yeah,
So I also don't like to see myself only as a trader. I like to see myself as way more than that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this question was about how do people see you when you tell them you're a trader, but we've kind of answered it.
How
So
they see me, yeah, exactly what you say. They all kinds of things.
yeah,
Anything, the whole spectrum from, oh my God, you're amazing, to you're a gambler. What's wrong with you? So I don't care, I know now who I am. There was a time when I did care,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that showed in my trading results as well.
Nice. Oh, Jerome watching. Awesome. Jerome is my podcast editor, so welcome, Jerome. That's really cool.
Ah, hi, Jerome.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's going to be to edit after. We'll see. Christopher says, you have a great knowledge of underlying psychology behind our actions. That's from Mandi for sure. She knows a lot about that. So he's asking, how do you break down the root cause of any trading issues?
I love your question. Thank you. Oh my God, you're making me so happy. Because you know what usually the question is, right? How do I stop being disciplined and patient? How do I stop not being disciplined and patient?
Yeah.
How do I find out to be disciplined and patient? And that is, of course, just a symptom and not the underlying issue. So I was working with a trader yesterday, and again in the group mentoring, and it was really interesting because it was the trader with the $10,000 challenge. He could have made $10,000, but he ended up in a few $1,000s down. And so we looked at, what was going on, and what was going on was really interesting, because we then scaled back what happened. And he said, I was doing well, then I made a mistake, and then I started to panic, and I call it binge trading. So he started putting on more and more trades, and mindless trades, right? So it wasn't like, is there an analysis, is there a structure? There was just clicking that mouse button and then scaling in and taking enormous risk until he slept himself pretty much out of this almost hypnosis and came to his senses and stopped. So then we looked at, all right, so what was happening with this behavior? And I already had an inkling. So I asked him a question that put him under pressure. And he said, I have no clue. My mind just went blank. And I said, is that the feeling that you had when you were doing that binge trading? He said, yes. So his mind went blank. And so then we looked at, how do you make decisions at work? Because he works in a very high power job, and you come under pressure, and he says, my mind goes blank. So the problem was not him doing whatever he did in the market. The problem is that when he comes under pressure, his mind goes blank. And so now we know what to work on. Him getting a way of knowing what to do when he gets under pressure and his mind goes blank. To ask himself strategic questions that get him back on having access to his mind. Because we know when the mind goes blank, then it's because the amygdala has taken over. And, the fear, the fight and flight came up and stops our frontal cortex to perform. How can we get access to the frontal cortex again? That was the underlying problem. And now the work starts, right? And that's not as much fun to find out what can you do in that circumstance. Does it make sense? So that's one example. Another example would be, so let's say trader doesn't want to take their loss, which is the most common problem why traders don't perform. Thanks, Chris H. So, and again, for every trader, it might be different. Let me just think what recent example did I have? So trader didn't take loss. And then we went down that path. When you were in that loss, so you took your trade, right? Did the trade first go into profit and then into loss, or did it go straight into a loss? And in this case, the trade went first into profit and then into a loss. And then we said, then we looked at what was it that you were saying to yourself, and what were you feeling the moment it went into a loss? And the answer was, oh my God, not again, I was in a profit. I should have taken my profit. Why didn't I take my profit? I'm such an idiot. And that does not lead anyone to taking the loss, does it?
No.
And then, yeah. And then it was like, and so the next step that we did was, right, so now we know what you think and feel. What happened then? How did the conversation continue? And the conversation started to loop about the feeling and the thinking of how bad they are and how they don't want to take their loss. Now, then I said, what did you make that mean about yourself? Who are you being when you look at yourself? What is it that you're afraid that the people around you are saying about you, the people that you love, of course? And he said, I'm a disappointment. I let them down again. They were having those high hopes in me that I am, with my trading, giving them all the freedom. I want my kids to go to private school and my wife to have a nice car, and I'm such a disappointment. So that shows me that his interaction with the trading was not about taking care of business. He was very concerned about what other people think and feel about him. And this was the main problem, and then we can go deeper and deeper on that. But that was the first stepping stone for me, where I said, your challenge is that you care so much about other people, which is really beautiful when you're a husband, but it does not work in trading. In trading, you need to take care and focus on your trading strategy, on what is happening in the markets. You need to forget about yourself and about other people. And so now the work starts in helping him to decouple from that. Business is business and private is private, because we don't want to transform that, right? We don't want to change that, because we want him to stay a great husband, but we also want him to become a great trader. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So there's so much to say to that. It's not like one thing. I always work backwards, if that helps you, Christopher. What happened before your trade got into a loss? So I know one major thing for me was I would hit the trade beautifully, would make a profit, would get out, and then the trade would bounce maybe a little and then continue in my direction. I would get back into the trade, because now, out of greed, I want more of that feel-good feeling, and not based on my strategy. And then what happens, of course, the trade turns around and goes to a loss, and then I can't take my loss anymore. So then I had to work backwards on what is that feeling that comes up when I want to get back, when I want to double dip in my trade. Now I do the opposite. Now when I get out of my trade, I feel this old feeling creeping up of wanting to double dip. And now I manage that. So instead of managing my trade when I'm in a loss, I manage myself before, because you know what? Once we're in that loss, it's really, really hard to manage ourselves. There is this threshold where we get to the point where we don't want to deal with that loss anymore. Anything before that is okay. After that, we don't want to deal with it anymore. Then it's too late. It's like, once you're sick, you're sick. It's too late to deal with your health. Do the preventative work that you don't get so sick that you can't do anything about it anymore.
Love that. That's a good example. Great saying too. So, anything we need to add to that before we conclude, or anything that people need to learn, or what would you kind of want people to take action on this week?
So, what really, going back to the 5 mindset challenges. So number 1, look at where in your life you don't take responsibility. And again, it's not about putting yourself down. It's just doing an honest self-analysis and say, where are areas in your life that are interfering with your trading? And then you say, because that happened. So for example, one big thing for me was on Twitter, I don't know why, but people, they DM me a lot what they think the market is going to do. I don't know if they think that I don't know how to trade, or I need their help. But at the beginning, that would really interfere with me, right? It's like, oh my God, I wanted to go short, and they say the market's going to bounce and go back up. Now I don't look at it anymore. So rather than blaming them for wanting to connect with me, which I love, right? It's beautiful. And I respond usually afterwards, after I've done my trading. I needed to manage myself around that. Yeah. So responsibility. Number 2, if you are worrying a lot, you need to deal with that, because it's going to destroy you. And you deal with that on 2 levels. Number 1, you look at what is the fear, the shame, the pain that leads to the worry, and how you see that, how you find out is look at where your life is out of balance. If your life is out of balance around your health, you need to love yourself more and take care of your health and put that back into balance. If your life is out of whack with your family, you need to get more, taking care of yourself in terms of let your family have their fears and you do what you want to do anyway. Pursue your goals, your dreams, and understand that your family is trying to hold you back because it's their own fears, not yours. So look at your worries, heal the worries, and reframe your thinking around your fears. Number 3, learn to create a structure. And if you want freedom, create your freedom within the structure. But structure and routine, rhythm. I love the word rhythm. I use rhythm now rather than routine because routine is like, oh, who wants routine? It's like, using the word diet. Who wants to diet? Linda Rashke uses the word transformation, which I love as well. So rhythm is something that I love because I'm such an active person. And also from my horseback riding, we always talked about rhythm in horseback riding. And then look at the difference between intuition, if you use intuition as a bullshit excuse not to do what needs to be done. And number 5, keep working, become a learning machine. You never stop learning. Yeah.
Powerful. I love that. That's really good. And the 5 things we talked about earlier, I think are really good. If you guys want to kind of go back and rewatch them, also it's gonna be available on YouTube anyway after. And Mandi, how can people find you? I know we've put a link below for the academy. Mandi and I have been doing 2 trainings together in the academy, and plus a couple of other calls that are really impactful. If you want to see that, then link below. No need to do it, but I highly recommend if you want to take it to the next step. That would be really good. And also, Mandi has a program. How can they find this, Mandi?
Yeah, my program's called the Fierce 10 Challenge, and it's a 10-module online training. And there's also the group mentoring is phasing out now because we almost reached the end. But the online training is available. It's on high performance trading, or go to my website tradingpsychology.com.au. You find everything there. So yeah, and again, Etienne and I, we work beautifully as a team because Etienne's program is looking after the trading strategies, methodologies, everything that he has learned from. How many people did you interview by now? How many traders?
About 160 now, I think.
160 traders, wisdom of 160 traders he put into his training. And also trading psychology, because not everybody needs the extent of trading psychology that I deliver. That's for guys who know what to do but don't do what they know. But trading psychology, everybody needs to understand themselves and to grow to levels that they want to achieve. So find out what's important for you, and support is available.
Yeah. If you need just an adjustment on risk of psychology, then yeah, this is there for you, of course. And usually people get a big result with a small tweak, small adjustment. I'm sure you've seen that Mandi in the past. Yeah. Cool. So if you guys like this video today, give it a like. We would really appreciate. And comment below what you thought after this is live. We would also really appreciate. And we'll catch you pretty soon.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. That always brings the best out in us. So we really appreciate it. Yeah. Go rock.